Bruce is on Twitter, and Bruce is having a nice drink. It's called BREVA. It's a fine malt beverage. It tells me it's alcohol-free, and this one is passion fruit flavored. In studio with me this evening, Gladys Mawoneke, who is the founder of BREVA. We'll talk to her. The founder of BREVA is going to give us some insights into how to do it. Just give me a quick potted history lesson. You start out in journalism.
Yes, I did. I didn't know where you picked. I don't know where you picked that up, but yes, I
know
did.
These things.
Yes, I did. I've taken a more scenic route to where I am today. So I started as a journalist. I went to study law and was admitted as an attorney. And here I am.
Is having a law degree useful in business?
I think it's very useful. I think without realizing it, I think you're taught. And on a practical level, I analyze everything that I do, and I enter into contracts with my eyes wide open. I tend to draft my own contracts.
The vast majority of us look at contracts and go, hope it's okay. And contracts are absolutely fine until something goes wrong.
Yes, particularly after you've drafted it yourself. Yes.
Yeah. So the law degree was helpful, but tell me about how you tried your hand at different business ventures and not been particularly successful at some of them.
Well, at some point I knew I wanted to get out of the corporate world and start my own business. And I knew that in order to do that, I needed to build history, to build credibility. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to be in business. So I looked for things that I thought I enjoyed, and I enjoyed baking. So I thought, let me give my hand at baking bread, specialty breads, chocolate breads. And
it's hard work, isn't it? I mean, you're up before everybody else. You're supplying them at a time convenient to them.
No, I didn't even get to supply anyone. No. I hadn't done my research. So, and I wanted to make handmade bread. And if you know how to make bread, there are about nine steps to making bread, 8 to 9 steps.
And it takes
physical. A long. It's physical. It's very soothing. But it's not a good way to make money. So I remember one Sunday I made my bread. I think I made 4 loaves or 3 to 4 loaves of chocolate breads. And I walked down the street to delis, trying to sell to delis. And the response was shocking because no one was interested, because I didn't have an appointment with them, firstly. And secondly, it was too expensive. I thought it was the right price because it was a good product. But it was too expensive, and also because it has shorter shelf life. Yeah. No one wants to buy that. So by the end of that Sunday, I was back at my house with my 4 breads, and I had to give to my friends to eat my bread.
I'm sure it was delicious.
It was delicious.
Then you ran into trouble with unpasteurized amasi. Did you have an alcohol issue?
So after the bread, I was very upset, and I thought, well, this one hasn't worked, so I'm not going to get into business for a while.
Right. Gladys has just choked because I've tried to open a BREVA with my bare hands, but I can manage. I can do that. You carry on. Tell me about amasi.
And there, it's opened. It's a twist of crown cap.
It is. Oh, apple. Nice.
It's a delicious drink. And so, but after a while, I thought, I love milk, and although I am I'm not supposed to eat milk. At all to consume milk. Yes. Yeah. I love it. I love cheese. I love amasi. And I thought, well, there is unfermented milk, unpasteurized milk. You can make amasi using unpasteurized milk, and it is a peculiar and beautiful taste. And so I thought, there must be people who love this as well. So I would drive in the morning. I found a farmer in Paarl. I would drive in the morning to Paarl, pick up milk, unpasteurized milk, leave it to start fermenting.
Okay.
Leave it to start fermenting during the day while I was at work. Come back home, put it in my house, and during the week it will be fermenting. And then on Sundays, I would go and sell it. And interesting enough, I developed a good customer base to the point where the farmer said to me, "I like the way you work. Why don't you?" Because his head of cattle, he keeps his head of cattle for fun, really. It's not his core business. He said, I'll have half of your market, and you have half of my herd. I think there were just about 20 or so cattle. But for me, that was good enough. So I got very excited, and we thought, let's put together a business plan and work on this. So the first thing I did was phone the city of Cape Town to find out if what the regulations were. And they told me that I'm not allowed to sell unpasteurized milk in that jurisdiction. So, bummer. Yes, so there I was.
But you've evolved now into commercially producing drinks. And this is a tough space. It's dominated by ABI, by Coca-Cola. There are a couple of people on the periphery that have been gradually bought out by Coca-Cola. So Appletiser, which was started by an Italian immigrant into South Africa 40, 50 years ago, been very, very successful, bought by Coca-Cola. You come up with the concept of an alcohol-free malt beverage. What was the genesis of the idea?
You're absolutely right. It's a very cluttered market. We're dominated by the big guys, but it's also a very dynamic market. Because drinks normally are an extension of one's brand. So if you come up with something that fits into someone's brand, but that also tastes amazing and good, you can get into. You can be successful in it. That's my belief. And so I don't drink alcohol, and I grew up in a family that didn't drink alcohol. So as I got older, there were two things I used to drink. One of them was passion fruit and lemonade. And I think most people who don't drink a lot of passion fruit and lemonade.
A lot, yes.
Yeah. And so for me, I found there was very little to choose from. Something that I could drink with confidence and comfortably as an adult, when I wanted to relax, when I was at home, or when I was out and about celebrating with my friends, or at work. And so I thought there must be more people like me as well who want something that becomes an extension of their brand.
I mean, what do you have? Do you have Coke Light or sparkling water? It gets a bit repetitive.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so you get into this market, but BREVA, where does the name BREVA come from?
BREVA, if you swap the E and the A, it comes from the word brave.
You were feeling courageous.
Yes. Well, yes, because we are rewarding people who are courageous.
What is the courageous element then?
Well, courageous about anything really, but also about courage enough to be true to themselves and true to their values. And courage enough to say, I can have fun and be okay without a drink in a world that so celebrates drinking.
Yeah, it most certainly does, and that's why it's an interesting move into the non-alcohol beverage space. Gladys Mawoneke is the founder of BREVA. It's a word play on the word brave. She's going to tell us how she got from a home business into a factory business, and then how she got the supermarkets to buy into the concept. It's hard to break into a market that is dominated by mega companies, and you are looking to break into that market. Getting into the supermarket chains is a big breakthrough, surely.
It is.
How does that work? Because people tell me it's infernally difficult.
It is, hey, and even when because it took me 2 to 3 years to research when I was doing research and development, and every step of the way people would tell me, but how are you going to get into retail? And I literally called the supermarkets and asked to meet with various people. I mean, I remember I called Suzanne Ackerman's office. I didn't know Suzanne Ackerman. And she asked me to come over and meet with her and the team. Did you have product at that stage? I didn't even have product at that stage. I had a concept. Okay. But I also had what I had developed. It wasn't in the final bottle, and I took it to them, and they liked the concept. They tasted what I had, and they liked it. So, but it was just close to to the end. But that allowed me then to bottle, because I had a market, so I could raise funding because they had given me letters of intent to purchase what they had not seen. But
that's, I mean, it's courageous on their side. They've got less to lose than you. I mean, if it doesn't work out, they can say, terribly sorry, thanks so much for trying, Gladys, but you know what, we'll just put extra Cokes on the shelf to fill up the space. It's no skin off their nose.
Absolutely.
You've got a lot more to lose in this process. Yeah. How do you go into product development, though, in a market that is full of it's a really competitive space? So what sort of research did you do to get the flavors?
So what I did, I went to a few countries to look at trends, what was happening in the adult non-alcoholic space, and I liked the malt. I love the aroma of the malt, and when it's blended with the right flavors, it's beautiful. It's really beautiful. So I came back with samples of what I enjoyed, and I started developing that. And the research, we did qualitative and quantitative research. We did focus group sessions in Johannesburg and Cape Town. And each step of the way, we were revising the look of because we were researching every single aspect of the product. We were researching the product itself, and we were researching the brand itself that we developed.
And so much of, once somebody samples a product and they like the product, they will be inclined to consume it. But branding is so absolutely pivotal. And what SAB, South African Brewers, will tell you is people have got to be proud to be seen to be holding a product in their hand. They've got to be wanting to show it off. Look what I am consuming.
Absolutely. I can tell you a story that when we went into research, we were researching, among others, the name of the brand. We had about 3 names that we were researching. I was bent on another name. And I liked a brown bottle. And I liked other things, but the consumer came back and they liked the name BREVA. They liked a green bottle.
Green bottle is where the premium beer is bottled. It's got the premium attachment to it. Yeah.
But because we're developing a craft soft beverage, we thought brown, because brown is associated with craftiness, and in the craft world, brown is premium. But the consumer's perceptions are extremely important. So we had to develop this to suit what the consumer's perceptions of this product were, so that the product could talk to the consumer, and the consumer could have ownership of what would become an extension of his or her brand.
How then do you get into bottling a product? Because people would think, well, then you need a bottling line. You need to invest heavily in labeling machinery, into manufacturing the bottles, getting the bottles onto a bottling line, and suddenly you're talking about millions and millions of rand.
In fact, that's exactly what I thought. Right at the beginning, that's exactly what I wanted to do. I was trying to raise capital to get into bottling, to have my own bottling plant. But that is extremely expensive. So what I ended up doing was to raise funding for certain aspects of the bottling plant that no co-packer had, pasteurizing machines and condensate lines that no one else had. And I was fortunate enough that one of the bottlers agreed for me to place that machinery into his bottling plant.
Okay.
So that reduced the costs, the startup costs, quite drastically. And until such a time as we have strong balance sheet, we will continue to use co-packers. After all, in South Africa, we have excess capacity. There's so much capacity in South Africa to do bottling.
So you managed to get yourself onto the shelves of Pick n Pay. That's a relationship that is ongoing. You're bottling also a line for Woolworths, using their branding and their labeling.
Yes, we are.
That sort of branding. So you're in that space. What sort of volumes are you producing altogether?
Well, we're still a small company, really, in the greater scope of. We can't compare ourselves. We still do less than 100,000 units a month.
100,000 units a month. It's a 300 milliliter bottle, so 30,000 liters a month.
We're still doing less than that. Yeah.
Okay.
So we're still building the brand.
But there's a market. You've created the market.
There is a market,
and you're finding consumer acceptance. So often, when people you get into the retail space, but where you really make your name is on the wine lists and and being listed in restaurants and things. Have you made any breakthroughs there?
Yes. Because we're a small company, because it's a small company, and also because it's a small company, we have to be smart about the way we use our cash flow. When we started, our model was to go to the big guys, the retailers, so that we could use their distribution.
Sure.
So we could deliver. So we deliver to the DCs, so at all our
distribution centers.
At the distribution centers, so that we don't have to do direct store distribution, because that requires a lot of, we don't have the capacity to do that. So the first 18 months, we've been in the market now for 18 months. So the first 18 months was to make sure that in the 4 retailer spaces that we have, we are established. And then after that, then we go to what we call HORECA, the hotels, restaurants, and captive audience. So this year, that's where we're going to be focusing on. We will appoint sales and distribution companies to help us extend our distribution in the country.
Is it better than journalism, better than law, better than baking bread, and certainly better than Amasi?
By far. It's fun and games.
There we go. She's got a fantastic big smile on her face as Gladys Mawoneke, the founder of BREVA. She is certainly a shapeshifter to watch. Getting distribution through the supermarket networks in South Africa is difficult to do. Those breakthroughs have been absolutely pivotal. Watch out for wine lists and, of course, into hotel listings too. Gladys Mawoneke, the founder of BREVA.